Hello and welcome. Today's video is going to be a little bit of a longer and more complicated one, but it's one that's been coming for quite a while now that I've talked up in other videos and some of you have definitely been waiting for. Today I wanted to shoot a video on becoming Darth Revan. Now those of you unfamiliar with Revin, first off, why are you watching my channel? No, it's fine, watch my channel. I appreciate it. But Revin is probably, in my mind, the second strongest Force user of all time. I like to think that Nihilus is the strongest of all time. People like Revin a whole lot more, but Revin cannot eat a planet, so gotta give it up to Nihilus. But Revin was a Jedi who became a Sith Lord, who became a Jedi, who sometimes became a Sith Lord again. He was powerful on both sides of the Force, and he's a major character in the Knights of the Old Republic and the Old Republic series. There have been books about him. He's factored into the comic book series. He's a fairly major character, though he has never shown up in the movies. He almost made it into Clone Wars once, and it was very close. He ended up in a deleted scene, but not in Clone Wars proper. So, not strictly speaking a canon character, at least not under the new Disney canon, but definitely a major character, and when you're going out as Revin, people do definitely recognize you, unlike when I go out as Nihilus and I get people guessing all kinds of things. But you go out as Revin, either people are going to recognize you as Revin or they're going to think you're Kylo Ren. But anyhow, enough about who Revin is. If you want to Wikipedia or Wikipedia it, then feel free. I wanted to talk about becoming Darth Revan. Now, I'm a member of the 501st Legion, so we go out, if you ever see stormtroopers marching at a football game or something like that, that's us. So the costume that I wanted to talk about today is approved for the 501st Legion, and also for the Dark Empire, who uses the same CRLs. For reference, CRL is Costume Reference Library. It's the guidelines that we have about what standards the costumes have to meet in order to become approved through the organization. They want everything to be screen accurate. Now with Revin, since you're talking about a video game character who has existed in art, but not necessarily, or art and animation, but not on the big screen as a live action hero, you're dealing with a lot of interpretation. So I'll start looking at pieces here and we'll talk about them. A lot of these pieces here came from a company called Wicked Armor. Now with the 501st, you can do a lot of craft stuff and get really hands-on and create your own piece. And pretty much any costume that you get, there's going to be some customization that you're going to have to do, and you're going to have to fill in the blanks. But Wicked Armor is a really good company for getting a kit that really gets you started and gets you really close to where you need to be. They sell on Etsy and on their own website. They're the ones who made the Darth Nihilus, or most of the Darth Nihilus costume. So I'm going to be talking about Wicked Armor pieces, and I'll show you where Wicked Armor pieces are and where they aren't. Wicked Armor actually has a new Revin set that's a Revin 2.0, which is not what I have here. It meets some of the points of my customization without having to customize. Alright, so let's go ahead and start talking about Revin, the Revin costume. The things that you're going to need. You're going to need a pair of black pants. Now, I'm not going to show you a pair of black pants because you guys know what a pair of black pants looks like, but you're going to need a pair of black pants. The boots, I did a video on customizing the boots. Wicked Armor doesn't sell the boots. Nobody really sells the boots that I know of. You have to kind of make them. Low standard, you got to have a pair of black boots with a leather strap over the top. High standard, you have to have a pair of black boots with a leather strap over the top that have gray or silver weathering and a slight heel and square toes. So I did a video on these. This is a pair of motorcycle boots that I modified, or motorcycle harness boots rather, that I modified in order to make the Revin boots. But you're going to need some Revin boots, square-toed, leather strap over the top, slight heel, black or gray-silver weathered. Alright, working from the bottom up, I already talked about pants, so I'm out of order there. Let me talk about Revin's skirt. Now, skirt is an unflattering word for it. I think it's also called a hakama or something like that. But Revin's, we'll just go ahead and call it a skirt. Revin's skirt specifically includes a box pleat. Now, there's several ways to achieve this. Box pleat actual skirts are few and far between. Think about school uniforms. But Revin's has a slit up the front and a slit down the back to allow for movement. The one that comes with Wicked Armor uses much the same mechanism that their Nihilus Hakama did, which is basically it's like a curtain. If you get a curtain and it's got that sort of tube sewn into it that you put the curtain rod through, same thing holds true for the Revin skirt. All right, we have a box-pleated skirt with a tube at the top, and you put a standard belt through it, any belt that you have around so that you can secure it. When you fasten it, you just slide the belt back into the tube so the buckle's not showing. It opens in the front. It opens in the back. All right, now other ways to achieve the same effect. Like I said, if you've got if you can actually find a box-pleated skirt, you're probably going to end up paying quite a bit for it because, like I said, they are few and far between. This right here is a workaround that I found around. This is not the set that I wear, but it is another viable alternative, so I wanted to discuss it. This was a pair of box-pleated slacks, and what somebody did was they removed the seam along the inside of the leg and turned a pair of box-pleated slacks into a box-pleated skirt. Okay, it's narrower and slimmer, and it doesn't billow as much as the one from Wicked Armor, but it does meet the requirements, and it gets the job done. All right, moving up a little bit, let's talk about the other soft parts before we get to the armor. The Revin set has 2 sashes. Now when I get to the armor, I'll show you where the sashes are connected, but there's a red sash and a black sash, and they're connected to the front of the armor. The red sash is pleated. This right here is the one that comes with Wicked Armor, or with the Wicked Armor set. It's kind of a burgundy color. It's basically a pleated piece of sort of satiny material, sewn to sort of a leather backing so that it's a little bit rigid and it hangs well and doesn't blow around. It's just basically one big old strip. You fold it over at the top to attach it and safety pin it or Velcro it, and it hangs down the front of the outfit. All right, this is the Wicked Armor one. The one that's on the set that I use, let's see if I can show that to you. I use this set. I'm not much for the satiny of the Wicked Armor, and I was looking for something that was more striking in a Sith red, and so I ended up with this kind of velveteen pleated set right here. Same basic design though. It's a red piece of cloth or fabric that's pleated. Or not pleated, quilted, there we go, quilted. It's basically got little ridges in it, and it hangs down the front. All right, the other sash, the black sash, is basically just a black piece of cloth. All right, now this is just a black piece of cloth. The one that comes with the Wicked Armor set is stitched together right here, sort of in thirds, and it's got a piece of Velcro so that it can Velcro around on top of itself. The other side does not. You secure it with a safety pin, I believe. And so basically this piece of sash right here, whereas the red piece hangs straight down the front, this piece attaches to the center ring and goes around the body so that it hangs like this. All right, from that center ring. Now, this piece goes underneath the cape. I made a mistake once and put it on top of the cape, and that made a really weird effect. When you get all of your Revin gear on, it's kind of hard to figure out what's there and what's in place correctly, so it helps to have a spotter. But this sash goes about like this. Okay, basically just black fabric that matches the other fabric. All right, moving on up, we have a shirt. Now, the Wicked Armor shirt, specifically the CRL calls for a Mandarin collar. Now, you can exhaust yourself looking up a Mandarin collar, but really all that means is a turtleneck style. Priest shirts have Mandarin have kind of Mandarin collars. Turtlenecks have Mandarin collars, but the one that comes with the Wicked Armor setup is the same fabric, as everything else. It has this high collar, Velcro fastening in the back, slight slit down there. Another feature of the shirt is it requires a piping right across the chest, right across here. Now this is a good shirt. The shirt that I got with the kit that I acquired didn't quite fit me, this one, so I ended up sort of fending for myself, and what I came up with was I took a standard turtleneck, which I have here, stretch fit, so a little bit more room, breathes a little bit better. and I sewed some piping into the front of the chest so that it's right here. The goal of the piping is that it's visible right above the cut of the armor, which rides a little bit low. So you're supposed to see this piping right underneath the connected hood, but but it's a minor accent. Any kind of black shirt with a turtleneck or a mandarin collar and this piping right here, long sleeve, will work. All right, moving up. For the Revin set, you are going to need a Balaclava. So basically, if you're not familiar, think ski mask. This is one that was made by, I'm trying to remember who made this. It's like the Friendly Swede or something like that. There we go, Friendly Swede, indeed. It's a rather nice material, it's comfortable. The idea of the Balaclava is that it fits over your head so that where you can see beside the mask, if you can see beside the mask, and especially under the chin and neck, is black, as opposed to being your flesh tone. The Balaclava goes inside the other collar that you're wearing so that you can see the collar come up to the side. If you are, depending on the type of mask you're wearing, you may need to end up having just your eyes visible. Sort of ninja style. But this is basically a Balaclava. Wicked Armor does sell one, but their Balaclava is pretty much the same. Pardon me, getting over a bit of a cold here. Their Balaclava is pretty much the same as one that you'll get through any sort of third party, so any Balaclava will work. If you're working with other costumes, you might have one floating around, because a lot of costumes, Kylo Ren, Darth Nihilus, require one of these things, even Darth Vader. All right, the hood. Well, actually, let's talk about the cape first. So, the cape on a Darth Revan is just a long rectangle. It doesn't flare out. It's the same width at the top as it is at the bottom. It's characterized by a box pleat in the middle and knife pleats throughout the rest. So I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4 knife pleats and a box pleat. But there we go. And this hangs right over the shoulders, underneath the cowl or the hood and the mantle. So underneath that, most times you secure it to the inside of the armor so that it's hanging about like this, and you have the cape behind you, about floor length. Alright, the hood. Now, I've got a couple of different hood options, and the new Wicked Armor hood is a solid piece. The update on the CRL asked for the hood to be large and to be made up of one piece so that it completely encircles the head. So basically, with the one that you got with the version 1 kit, you had a hood, and it came off, a hood and sort of a mantle, and it came off on both sides into these flat pieces. And what you did was you overlapped them and safety pinned them in order to achieve this effect, this look of one solid piece. The new ones, as I understand it, are one solid piece. But the hood and the mantle, there's a hood, then there's this part that rides over the shoulders, and the cape connects underneath this, so the mantle is on top. Now, when I look at my other armor, my updated armor in a moment, you'll see what I've done with this hood to achieve that full mantle effect. All right, other parts of this. Are we about ready to get to the armor? Yeah, I think we're about ready to get to the armor. That's pretty much everything besides the armor. So you have 2 sashes, pants, shirt, hakama, boots, hood, and the hood / mantle and the cape. All right, in terms of the armor, now Revin is a medium armored character. If you're looking at something like a Darth Nihilus, that's almost all what they call soft parts. The Darth Nihilus is very warm, but it moves very well, and you don't have to worry too much about getting into and out of it. A heavy armor or a full armor piece, like a Republic Commando or some of the clone troopers that are out there, that takes a lot of work to get into. You usually have to have a spotter. It's very difficult to get it all to fit. Revin is somewhere in the middle. So if you're not familiar with armor, Revin is a good way to sort of get an introduction into what it's like to wear armor as part of your costume. Now the armor on a Wicked Armor piece, the armor itself is all made out of ABS plastic that's been painted. The forearms, the hand guards are all that. A few of the pieces are resin. The mask here that you use for the that comes with the Wicked Armor, this is a V1 mask. This is resin. Sometimes you can get them in fiberglass. This is from a company called Big Water. I'll show you this in just a second, but this is a fiberglass piece. They do make fiberglass and resin chest pieces as well, but the ABS is a lot lighter and more flexible. The only downside to the ABS is that over time it will start to degrade, and some of the ABS will just start to develop cracks from wear and temperature and use. The resin won't do that, but it is a lot heavier, and if you do drop a resin piece, it will crack then. It'll crack because of abuse, whereas the ABS will wear out because of temperature. So, give and take. But in terms of the armor, let's start with the easy pieces. Hand armor. So Revin requires that you use a pair of standard leather gloves. There's nothing real fancy about these gloves. They just need to be long enough to tuck under the forearm armor. I'll show you that in a second. The Wicked Armor kit comes with these hand guards right here that have an elastic strap here and here. This one goes over your wrist. This one goes over either your index finger or your index and middle finger, depending on how you wear it. So basically you put the glove on, you put this on top of the glove, and then you have the hand armor. The problem with this is it starts to slide around when you're out using it quite a bit. A preferable way to do this, with my kit, I have pulled these elastic straps off, and what I've done is, since I had a spare pair of gloves that I didn't need for another purpose, I slapped some industrial Velcro on the glove, slapped some industrial Velcro on the hand plate, and just stuck the one on top of the other, so that, for one, I can adjust where it rides a lot more easily, and when I'm out and about, if you give a kid a fist bump or something like that, like this, you don't have to worry about the armor riding sideways or starting to come up over your hand. It stays where it is. So I recommend attach the armor directly to the glove, though the Wicked Armor setup allows you to not have to sacrifice a pair of gloves for it. All right, the forearms. The forearms are two pieces of ABS with a pad in the middle and a Velcro sealing. The seal goes to the inside. Let me get the correct one here. All right, the forearm piece, it's usually best to put the glove on first. That way, when you put the forearm piece on, you can make certain that the glove is tucked into the forearm. All right, so this is basically the Revin arm. It's made this coppery sort of metal color, matches the hand piece, and here you have it. Two pieces held together with a ribbon or a piece of cloth on this side, held together with Velcro on the inside, so that it hinges up and seals closed. Now, out and about when you're wearing this, over time, that Velcro will heat up and the Velcro will give way, and you'll find that your forearm guards might pop off. If that happens too much, it's time to replace your Velcro, or you can put snaps in there if you prefer. The snaps are a little bit difficult to secure out on the fly, especially if you're wearing gloves. Trying to get snaps on your forearm, especially if you've got the mask on, can be quite difficult. But forearm and glove armor. Okay. The next pieces of armor. So I'm going to show you a V1 Revin kit, and then I'll show you my upgraded one. The first version kit, what you're dealing with here is you've got this detailed ABS chest piece. At the top of it, it had clips. I've removed one of the clips. I'm going to update this. The clips are faux clips. They're attached clearly to this chest piece. Let me go ahead and show you the clips close up real quick. Alright, now whether it has clips or whether it has rings is kind of the luck of the draw. They were messing around with the CRL quite a bit, and sometimes they would say clips and sometimes they would say rings. But it's got these clips right here, 2 sets. It's got this detailed piece. In the middle here is a cloth or pleather piece, sort of an accordion quilted area right here that connects the top plate to the bottom plate. The bottom plate is pretty standard, same sort of metallic, some detail within it, little wings on the side that attach it to the back plate. And hanging along the bottom here, we have rings. Now, the rings that were used by Wicked Armor originally were basically key rings, and they were attached to these little metallic pieces of string. The CRL calls for these pieces of string to be leather and to be about 1 inch wide, and they call for these rings to be larger. There's some discrepancy as to how large the rings should be, but between 1.5 inches and 2 inches. So if you're dealing with one of these older kits, you'll have to update the rings a little bit, and I'll talk about that. The center ring right here is rosin. It's attached to these 2 straps that go up the side with a little bit of detail here. And there's this, this one's been replaced with a metal piece. Originally it was a piece of ABS plastic. And this is where the red sash goes. So when you have this on, the black sash connects here and here, and the red sash hangs here behind them. Alright, coming up off of the Revin, there are these 2 strings, off the chest piece rather, there are 2 strings. On the back piece, there are 2 strings as well. When these get tied, they hang right over your shoulder. And then the 2 pieces connect together with Velcro here and Velcro here on the side, and sometimes Velcro here. So these basically you strap into them like a clamshell, sort of, like this. And we'll talk about the back plate in just a sec. Alright, so here's the back plate. We have sort of a 2-toned thing. There's an accent color, sort of a brownish, and then there's the metallic color here. The back plate has a detail in here with a raised bit right in the middle. That same sort of accordion material, and then a kidney protection plate down here that's back to that ABS plastic. Here's the Velcro here, here, and here that attach on the front, and here's the shoulder straps. All right, on the back, we have more rings. All right, so again, there are those key ring sort of things attached with the string. When I show you the update, I'll show you what that's turned into, but that's how it was originally. This is the first piece that starts to break with weathering, so this piece will crack. That doesn't mean you can't wear it, it just starts to get worse and worse until you end up needing to replace this piece. It's just ABS plastic, so not too hard to do. Wicked Armor will send you, or can sell you one and send it to you if you would like. But you give them your measurements and they fit these 2 panels so that they fit together right on you. You just have to adjust the shoulders a little bit so that they ride to the right height. Alright, also coming with the Wicked Armor piece is the mask. Now this is a V1 mask. The V2 mask has side panels. There was a bit of discrepancy as to whether or not the side area here was the balaclava underneath or whether it was panels of armor. I have one of each type of mask. This is the V1 Wicked Armor. This is a Big Water 99 mask. You can see the side panel here. The new V2 Wicked Armor pieces have a side panel very similar to this. Alright, the masks in both cases are a 3-part attachment, 2 on the side, 1 on the top. They're padded on the inside. There's a little bit of room in the visor or the visor material. There's some room between that and the mask so that air gets in and it doesn't fog up quite so much, though it does fog up a bit. The V1 masks, you had to have that balaclava on because when you put these on, your face is showing around it. Okay. The V2 masks, you still need to have the balaclava, but it's less important because there's less of your face showing around it. Alright, so there's the mask. Now in both cases also, the mask has a piece of Velcro on it. There's Velcro on the inside of the hood. That helps the hood stay right about here on the mask, which does harm your peripheral vision when you're walking around in this, but it makes certain that the hood doesn't slide over your eyes and just blind you entirely, or slide back so that you're walking around with the bald Revin look, and that's not good for anybody, and it's really hard to fix while you're in full armor without messing everything else up. Alright, so there's the mask. Before I get to these alternative pieces here, let me just show you my upgraded kit. Now, the hook or the clips that I showed you on the other one, that was an older design. Now they want there to be rings up here, and some of the Wicked Armor kits have rings up here. When they do, they're often those key rings again. Ideally, you want these to be welded rings. Now let me go ahead and grab a welded ring for you just to show you the difference. Alright, so here on my left, I have the key ring that they used. Here on my right, this is a 1 3/4 welded rims. This set that I've got right here uses 2 inches, which is the maximum ring size that's possible to fit with the CRL. I liked the bigger ones. They do make you kind of sound like a wind chime when you're walking around sometimes, because they will hit together if you're being particularly mobile, but that just makes it so you can't sneak up on birds, so we're good. But anyhow, welded ring, key ring. So my set, there's smaller welded rings here, slightly larger welded rings here. I think this is a 3/4 and this is a 1 inch. Alright. Here's those sashes. You can see the red sash is attached behind. The black sash is attached over here. It wraps around my body. And this is the Wicked Armor sash. It's got Velcro on the other side, so that when I get it all the way around me, I just Velcro it to the ring, and it's set. Alright, with my set, I have chosen to somewhat permanently attach most of the material to the set. Now, inside of the standard Wicked Armor sets, inside of the chest here, there are little fabric rings set in. Now, these are for that cape to attach. They're also to help you sort of connect the cowl and everything to it. With mine, I used those and some big metal hooks. So I've got my cape. I put little key rings on the end of the cape so that I can clip them onto those metal hooks so I don't have to worry about tying them. So I can unclip my cape here. Sure I can, at this awkward angle. There we go. I can unclip my cape, and it's just got this little ring right here, so I can adjust the ring, pull it into the inside, clip it in, and I'm ready to go. Okay, my hood and mantle, I have actually attached on the inside of this. So I have attached these permanently in here and sewn it to the back of this chest plate, so that I have one piece that goes from the hood all the way around. I've actually hit it with some Velcro in here so that it doesn't disappear down into the chest piece. Keeps it up a little bit. Okay, but hood, mantle, cape. The other thing about upgrading it, you can see my larger metal rings right here. You can also see, there's the cape behind. There's a couple other alterations. The CRL calls for this detail right here on the back to be mimicked down here on the kidney plate. Let me see if I can get closer up with that. There we go. And it also called for a red strip down here. It called for this thing to be two-tone, and also for a red strip at the bottom that mimics the color of the front sash. So I'll do a video a little bit later about modifying this part right here so that you can get this detail and get this red strip and swap out the rings. But basically that's what all of it is. The attachments are all basically the same, but since I have mine all set together, the way that this all works out is I pretty much get it all in order, detach one side, put it on, reattach that side. Mine's a little bit muddy. Reattach that side. There we go. Velcro. Velcro. Swing this around underneath the cape. Alright, like this. Cape on top. And then I put the hood up. Presumably I've got the mask on already. Put the hood up. Oh, that's the mantle. Okay. I have it like this, and then I put the hood up, pull the mantle over the sides, and I'm ready to go. My mantle is kind of... Oh, I've got my arm on top of my mantle. That's what happened here. Alright, well, I'll show you putting all of this together in just a little bit. Alright, so that is the core of the costume. Let me cover a couple of a couple of optional bits. Lightsabers. Now, I've done some reviews on various lightsabers. This is Revin's primary lightsaber. Its color when he's Darth Revan is red. This is a Saberforge model. Ultra Sabers makes these. Vader's Vault makes these. You can get them from various makers. You can use a red blade, or you can use a standard blade in it, which doesn't look very good when you're out and about in the daytime. I highly suggest a day blade. This is a kyber light. If you've got the money to spare and you really want to get attention, this is a Ripper Blades Unstable Day Blade, and this will really catch some or get some comments. Now, specifically the CRL, if you're going to use two sabers, calls for two identical sabers that look like this: one red, one purple. Some of the Revins that you see around, though, like the Black Series Revin or the Old Republic Revin, use this Revin Reborn saber as the purple saber. I rather like this one when I'm out and about, but technically speaking, it does not match the Knights of the Old Republic reference library. But it is a very nice saber, and again, these are made by Ultra Sabers, Saberforge, Vader's Vault, and a few other people. This is my purple unstable blade that goes with it. Lastly, a Revin Holocron. Now, this is absolutely not necessary and not part of the CRL, but it's something that I put together because I like the idea of holocrons with Sith Lords. Revin had a holocron. He put his material into it, part of his personality into it, and Revin's holocron was part of what led to the Rule of Two with Darth Bane, and greatly influenced Darth Sidious. So I wanted to have a holocron around, so I made this one. And I sell these. This is specifically, I call it the Holocron of Revenge, and it's got Revin's insignia right here, a couple of different Revin insignias, and it lights up when I'm out and about. But Revin Holocron, not necessary. Can't carry two sabers if you're carrying this, but one holocron and one saber looks pretty good. Or if you attach the sabers, it's very difficult to attach them. But if you're not carrying the sabers, if you're somewhere that's not saber friendly, a holocron is a good alternative accessory. Alright, so that is the Darth Revan pieces. Like I said, most of these were Wicked Armor. Mine are somewhat modified. Let's see how it all goes together. Alright, so here we have the Darth Revan setup all together. It's pretty impressive. I've got my extra saber over here on a clip. The chest piece and back piece meet fairly securely. It also is pretty mobile. I can move around and perform in this if I need to. Not something I can't do in heavier armor. It's also pretty durable. The ABS can take a hit. The biggest issue that you got to deal with is visibility. You lose a lot of your peripheral vision and you're only staring through a little slit, so you have to be real aware of your surroundings. Also, the gloves tend to pop out. You can either use longer gloves or tuck them into the sleeve of your shirt. You could tape them down too, that would work. But all things told, there it is. You see the sash goes under the cape behind me, and there's the rings you can see. Alright, and here's the other side. Let me give you a look at this from some different angles. You can see the cape here goes under the mantle in the back. They all hang to about the floor. I've got mine a little bit high right now. Alright, and again, fairly mobile. If you do end up chipping the paint at all on this, Wicked Armor sells a paint repair kit. It's fairly cheap. It's like $5, and they have the paint that specifically matches this piece, so you can touch it up if need be. The visor, again, a little bit hard to see out of. It can fog up if you're not careful, but it does have some breathing room in there. The other thing about it is that the gloves make it a little bit difficult. If you've ever worn a costume with gloves, you have to be prepared that it's hard to do things like operate the CoverTech clip with gloved hands. You kind of get used to it eventually, but it still can be kind of tricky if you need to get your phone or pull the other saber out or something like that. So sometimes you might want to carry both around when you're walking around a con or an event. It's a little bit easier to put back on most of the time. The clip holds pretty well, so I'm glad I found a place for a clip on this, because the Revin suit really doesn't have a belt properly. So here we go, Darth Revan, and there we go. Oh, one more thing, the hood is secured with that Velcro. That keeps it from falling over your eyes, which is really good. And here we go. If this has been of use to you, then please join me back for more reviews, and I will see you next time.